Hello, my name is Alam Abu Hajla, and my lesson plan today in my presentation will be place values of 3-digit numbers, and this is typically for a second grade class. So, content standards, going over them for this lesson plan. First to go over music content standard, it is to generate musical patterns and ideas with the context of with a given tonality, such as major and minor, and meter, such as duple and triple. There are 3 math contents. One is to understand that the 3 digits of a 3-digit number represent amounts of hundreds, tens, and ones. The second standard is 100 can be thought of as a bundle of 10 tens called 100. And the numbers 100 through 900 refer to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hundreds. And there will be 0 tens and 0 ones. So the objectives in this lesson plan is by the end of the lesson, students will be able to interpret a music / lyric sheet with music notes and play musical patterns with various instruments accurately. Students will be able to categorize each digit in a 3-digit number as the ones place, the tens place, or the hundreds place. Students will be able to repeat and memorize the chorus of a song shown, and students will be able to explain the meaning of representation. Students will be able to explain the meaning or representation of a digit in each place value. So ESL, and students with disabilities. For ESL students, there are many visual aids to help them understand the objectives and the content shown in the lesson plan. Success in this lesson plan can be altered if needed for certain students for what they can and can't achieve with the language barrier. And the success in the lesson plan is conducted, or the lesson plan in general is conducted mainly through motor and visual assessment rather than written or verbal. And students with disabilities, there are many ways in participating, and the lesson plan is very flexible with those needs of specific students, so it's hard to say specifically how to change it, but because there's so many disabilities, but the changes will be able to be made. And there are different strategies that can be used, such as manipulatives, rephrase instructions, and constant checking of understanding can be used throughout the lesson. So the materials that will be needed are a computer, because the teacher will be showing a presentation, a music and lyric sheet handout that the students will be able to follow through, and a class set of 3 different instruments if available. If not, that will also be fine for the lesson plan with alterations. And pre-knowledge and experiences the students should have a lesson a day before this lesson about whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes with the experience of how each is played and sounds. So the anticipatory set, or what will be done at the beginning of class, students will look over the agenda for the day. Then the teacher will review the homework about whole, half, and quarter notes, and there will be some review on these notes, on how they're played and how they look. And then the teacher will give out the music and lyric handout that has the notes and the lyrics for the song that they are going to learn. So starting with the actual presentation, the teacher will play for the class a song called Place Value Song for Kids by Number Rock Math Songs. There is a link right here. I will not play it for this presentation, but it will be played in the class and the students will be able to learn from it. The teacher will introduce 3 instruments to represent each place value, the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. If there is a class set of 3 instruments, that would be great. If only 1 or 2, each place value instrument can be replaced or substituted with a sound that can be made as long as it can be consistent and represent a place value. So in my example, a snap, without any class instruments, a snap would represent the ones, a clap would represent the tens, and a knock on their desk would represent hundreds place. So next step, after setting the instruments and sounds for whatever place value, the students will then look at their lyric sheet and read the notes above the lyrics, and we will practice as a class just singing the chorus and playing the instruments to establish our rhythm and our melody. So on the side right here, you can see I have half notes, quarter notes, and a whole note. So how the song will be played is the chorus goes like this. 10 ones make 10. 10 group of tens make 100. 10 hundreds make 1,000. The pattern never ends. And that's what the students will follow along with. So they'll have the half notes or quarter notes, the whole notes above each lyric and when they're supposed to play it. So continuing on, the teacher will then show examples of 3-digit numbers in the presentation and ask students how many ones there are, how many groups of tens there are, and how many groups of hundreds there are. So they will represent counting with the correct corresponding instrument or sound. And so in this case, in this example that I have, if the example was 100, they would knock on their desk 3 times going 1, 2, 3, and you should not hear any other instrument because the tens place is a 0 and the ones place is a 0. So if you hear clapping or snapping due to this example, that would be incorrect, or any other instrument because that would be correct. Incorrect. The next step after playing each instrument for the original place value, the teacher will then ask the students if they know any other instruments that they can play to still represent the example number. So going on still with 300, a student could say that you could play the tens place instrument, or claps in this case, 30 times, and that would equal 300. The student would then have to go on and explain why, and they would explain because if 10 groups of 10 make 100, then you could do 10 groups of 10 3 times and you would have 300. And the rest of the class would then vote whether it's correct or not, and anyone who says it isn't correct, they would have to say what number the student did suggest with their instrument and how many times they played it, and so why it is that way. Then after one example is finished, in between examples, that's when the students will then sing the song that they learned with an instrument that the teacher tells them to play, just so that each student gets the experience of using different instruments or sounds to represent a melody or a song. And then with the final chorus song that they're going to play, then the students will be able to play whatever instrument they want, multiple if they do, like claps and snaps, just mix it up if they want to. It would be all free to them. And the teacher can be able to make the lesson as long or short as they want to, with however many examples they choose to use. And for homework, the students will have a homework sheet that will cover all the aspects that were covered in the lesson. So there will be a section with a fill in the blank of the chorus, and if they memorize the chorus, they should be able to fill that out. And there should also be a section of example 3-digit numbers, and they will write sentences about what each digit represents and why. And then for evaluation assessment, it will be more of a visual assessment and how they perform in this lesson. So some guideline questions that you can answer for this assessment is, did the student sing along, did the student sing all of the chorus with 90% accuracy? So after like a couple times when you go and do the last chorus for the final time, did most of the students or any specific students that you see, did they perform most of the chorus accurately? And second, was the student able to play the instruments with correct notes and tempo with 90% accuracy? So again, by the final time you play the chorus, is everyone keeping up with the right tempo? Are they playing the second to last time, are they playing the correct instrument, and all that. Was the student able to explain their answers, why their alternative method of counting was correct? So in my example, that student who suggests the 30 claps, were they able to explain why that is correctly? Or were they having troubles? And then lastly, did the student play the correct instrument to its corresponding place value? So when I asked for 300s, were they clapping, that represents the 10th place, or were they playing, or were they knocking on their desk correctly, which was the correct sound to implicate that place value? So those were just some guideline questions, and if they follow those, that will be their evaluation and assessment. All right, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.